Yeah. What's good? It's be the G Shah Cypha. You officially tuned in on the Grind Live, and we support anybody out there grinding in any capacity. It doesn't matter what that capacity is, as long as they grinding. We gonna make sure they present it. We gonna make sure we talk to them, especially if it's a grind they want to talk about. This is where they want to be or they need to be. With that being said, you already know the montage. If you see me, you see dope people, right? So anything else is uncivilized. And people been like, "Yo, Shaw, what's up with the ladies? You don't never really had the ladies on." Well, I got somebody special because she's not just a female. She does a lot of things in the music industry. You thinking artist, but I'm thinking producer. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, behind the scenes and all these other things she got going on. Shay, what's going on with you?
What's up, Shah? Thank you for having me. I appreciate the intro too. Appreciate you having me on the platform. We are on the grind for sure.
Right.
So I'm excited to get into that today and, spread as much knowledge and valuable information as we can to the community.
Yeah, the good thing, about this music business is that it has all different types of hats that you can wear to bring to bring your flavor into it and really help people out and make music and do all kinds of things and really just try to put you on a another level for you. You a producer, but take me back into the first time you like fell into the music scene. Like, what was that first time you recognized it? And then we could talk about how you got into producing, but when was the first time you recognized it?
Yeah, I would say it was young, Shaw. It was young. I grew up listening to hip hop. I'm a '90s kid, so I feel
Okay.
like I kind of grew up in the pinnacle of hip
Right,
hop. I'm,
right.
I'm an East Coast girl. I'm from Boston originally. Now I'm in Brooklyn now in New York. But we kind of grew up on that East Coast hip hop vibe, right? We had all the greats really flourishing back then. Jay, Nas, Big, Pac. I mean, Ja Rule was big at that time, right?
Right,
Nelly was
right.
going crazy. Ludacris. I mean, I
Mhm.
can go on and on. New York was kind of running the hip hop scene, and that just transitioned over to Boston when I was young. So at this time, we had CD players that we go get our favorite CD, and I was playing a lot of Ja Rule at that time, a lot of like Usher, because I'm
Right,
into R&B music too. He was big at that time. Fabulous was another one. And what I would do is, as a young girl, I was kind of in a situation where I was like not really able to express my emotions the best, right? I didn't really know how to process emotion or express it. So what I would do is I would throw on my Walkman, I have my headphones on, I'm playing these CDs, and these stories and these artists, they would take me into another world, right? That allowed me to escape. And that was kind of like an outlet for me. And what I started off doing is writing. Probably like 8 years old, I would listen to my favorite artists over and over, and eventually I would memorize the lyrics. And then I would swap out their lyrics for my own and kind of just write in my notebook that I had at the time, that I was actually supposed to be doing my math homework on. Probably I was writing my own rap lyrics and telling my story, right? And it wasn't necessarily to create music or to become like a artist or a producer. At that time it was just me expressing my emotions and having like an outlet for the different experiences that I was going through in life. And a lot of the music I was listening to, I could connect emotionally with it.
right.
And that's kind of how I got started. And then I do have a family that is like from a musical background. I had growing up, I actually had a biracial family on my dad's side, and they started the first ever in my town. I'm from a small town right north of Boston in Massachusetts. They started the first ever um, biracial jazz band. It was called the Manual's Black and White Orchestra, and this was like swing music, like big dance, big band type music, right? And
Right.
they were doing a lot of shows, a lot of performances, and it's very traditional, jazzy type orchestration and dancing. And I saw just how music could bring people together, right? Like how the whole family would get together, the whole neighborhood would get together, friends. Like it was really just a way that everybody could connect.
Right.
And that is what gravitated me towards being a music fan early on.
That's what's up. And you know what? Stories like that really bring out the genuine, person in you, and what I mean, like that. Music impacts people in different ways, right? So I can definitely hear. I'm an artist myself, and I got into it from a rapping perspective, and I took that, and then that's how I express myself and put out music and things like that. So I can definitely understand that transition into being a producer. Like, you decided to produce, which means you make beats for other artists,
Yeah,
right? Like, you got
yeah.
an ear for sound. Like, how did you when did you decide that that's the direction you wanted to go, and why?
Yeah, that came way later, Shaw. That was Man, I took the traditional route of like, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a degree, I'm gonna go into corporate, right? That was kind of like my journey, like young 18, 19. I was studying business. I ended up getting a business degree. And when I got out of college, I got a sales job. And for the first time ever, I'm like 21 at this point. So the first time ever in my life, when I started that sales job, I was making real money. It was the first time, like my first commission check I ever got. That was the first time I actually had money. So I took that money, I invested it into a MacBook computer, and they had a program on the computer in the App Store called Logic Pro. It was Logic Pro 9 at the time, and that was like my introduction into like a digital audio workstation where I could start to produce music, because I had never stopped writing songs. It wasn't something I pursued in terms of like trying to be an artist, but at a certain point in my life, I realized like, hey, I have all of these lyrics written, all of these stories from my entire childhood and early adulthood, but I don't have any music. And
Right,
at this time, this is before social media really was a big thing. There was no YouTube at this time or anything like that. So I just thought in my head, like the next step is to start to create music for these lyrics.
right.
And I felt like buying this computer, buying this program, and then I actually went to a Barnes and Noble bookstore, and they had a book called Logic Pro for Dummies, and I bought that. Then I read the whole book front to back and just started to learn the program on the computer and how to actually make a beat.
Mhm.
It was terrible, at first when I first
That's
started,
how you got to start off, right? You
oh,
got to start
yeah,
off
it
thinking.
was real bad at first, but, I enjoyed the process. It felt like I was creating something, like the feeling of, like, having silence and, like, taking silence and making, like, a full track, like like a sound that didn't exist before, was just amazing to me. And that was kind of like the early way into it. I didn't really have any thoughts even of being a producer at this point. It was more just I want to create and have fun with it and make music that would go with these lyrics that I have, and then we'll worry about the next step of recording.
Right, right, right.
So
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I have Logic Pro, right, and I'm dangerous enough to record myself to get it to sound good,
mm,
great, or whatever. But I gotta send that off to an engineer to put the sauce on it, because I'm not interested in doing that piece of it, and I'm not really interested in producing. But I love I love conversations with producers, because their ear for me is different than the artist's ear. The artist's ear is looking to try to figure out how they can turn this into a song or to a hit, not realizing that the producer is the one really listening for the right melody, the right snare, the right drops, and things of that nature. And then if you engineer, now you got an artist, now you gotta mold that beat that you created into that artist's lyrics and things like that. So, you know, um, that's what I like about the producer. I just don't have that much time, right? Like
yeah,
me, I'd rather just show me, here's the beat, boom, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna send it back to you. You do whatever you do, and let me know if you need me to make any changes, unless we in the studio together. You know what I'm saying? So I like that aspect of the producers, and so what was like, have you got to a point where you're producing for either independent or mainstream artists, or is there are you still kind of on a certain path getting there, things like that?
Yeah, so I started producing for other artists around like 2016.
Okay.
And I was kind of like where I felt like I was good enough, like my beats were good enough to even get somebody to rap on it. Um I worked with somebody at that time who was dating a rapper from Boston, and he was looking for beats. So I played some stuff for him. He ended up liking one of the tracks. He purchased it, which was my first time actually making money from music. So that was kind of like a click in my mind, like, oh, I could actually generate income from doing that, something I'm passionate about, right?
Right, 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 right.
And from there, this was around the time 2016, 2017, where YouTube started, like a lot of rappers started purchasing beats or downloading beats off of YouTube.
YouTube, right,
And yeah, people started going on SoundClick and BeatStars around this time, buying beats. So I actually started like watching. There was a few people I was watching, like Internet Money. They were one of the producers I would look up to at that time and watch their YouTube videos and how they were actually selling beats to artists because they were doing it at a large scale, on a large scale. And I basically took what they were doing and I created my own beat store, and I started just uploading all my instrumentals that I had on that beat store. And then in like 2017, I created an Instagram account, and I had a Twitter account, a Facebook account already. And I would just message people, I would just DM them. And like at this point, I was just trying to get people to rap on my songs and sing on my
right,
songs, right? So I wasn't even, I think, charging really anything at this point. I was just sending music out, trying to see if I could make a song. And that was working. I was working with probably, I would say it was like 20 to 30 different artists on a consistent basis where I was sending them instrumentals. They would send me back the full songs. We would put it out. Sometimes it was like SoundCloud, sometimes it was YouTube, sometimes they would release it. But what really was the turning point for me, Shah, was I went to New York for the first time in 2018 and I entered a beat battle. And it was put on by this producer, Illmind, at the time, who was
yep, I
a
know who
big
Ilman
producer,
is,
yeah, out of
yeah,
New
yeah,
York. Yeah, so he was somebody I looked up to. He had a podcast at the time that I was listening to heavy, and he threw a beat battle in Manhattan. So I drove from Boston to Manhattan, and I competed in this beat battle, and I made it all the way to the finals. And I got like a ton of contacts. There was a lot of industry, A&Rs, producers, engineers, artists. There was just a lot of people that was at that event who we were just exchanging Instagrams. It was really like
right,
Instagram was like your business card, you know, and everybody's exchanging handles. And I started collaborating with a lot of those people that I met at that event. And then I got more and more invites to New York City for different songwriting camps and studio sessions with, some of them were signed artists, some of them were unsigned artists, some of them were the other producers. But I was just making music crazy at this point in time. And I had a couple of, I guess you call it major placements with bigger artists. Like I did have a song with Wiz Khalifa at a certain
okay,
time, but it never got released. And there was a few artists where that was happening, where I would send, because as a producer, we don't always have control of the music. That's one thing
right,
I learned is like you kind of just send your music off unless you're really in the studio with that artist recording at the time. You're
right,
sending a song and you don't know what's happening with it.
right,
So I was at a point where I was sending out so much instrumentals that like songs were getting released that I didn't even know about. I didn't even know the song was done or anything, right? So I started to see kind of some of the processes, I guess, that was going on in the industry, where a lot of times with a signed artist, it's the label that has control over whether that song is going to be released and when. And I preferred to work with independent artists that I was had a real relationship with. So it wasn't
right,
just transactional, you know, it was, hey, I have your phone number, I can call you if I want to. You know, we're really meeting in person, we're working together on a collaboration. And I enjoyed not only the creative process more, but the business aspect of it, where we could release the music when we wanted, we could sell it how we wanted, we could
right.
market it and promote it how we wanted. And that kind of was my main focus going into um really COVID. COVID kind of like everybody, right? It kind of like shut
Sit
the world.
down period. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right. So
Right,
I mean, up until then, I'm putting out records with indie artists until COVID. One of the records I produced got placed on a billboard in Times Square. So that helped get a lot of traction. I got, a lot more gigs after that. But then COVID shut everything down. And it was during that point where I realized that if I wanted to seriously make it in the music industry and make this like dream a reality in terms of like financially being able to live off of my music, I had to move. I had to move to New York. And
Right.
in 2021, I made that decision. I sold my house that I had in Massachusetts. I quit my job. I moved, by myself to New York City, and from there is really when how we get to where we're at now with all the stuff you see on content, and
Right.
really where I started learning the industry and the music business. And yeah, I guess I'll stop there and
Yeah,
see.
yeah, no, no, no. Now that's dope because there's a history behind your transition, right? Like, you realize through the experiences and through the the showcases and things that you did, from a producer perspective, that hey, where I'm at right now, it's not going to get me when what my goal is, right? I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida right now, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I know, what I'm saying, like when you in that city, you feel different,
It's different. It's
different.
different, Shot. And I'm in Brooklyn too. That was
Mhm.
where I chose to go to because I loved Brooklyn because the energy here,
Right,
like you can't even if you've never been it here, you can't explain it. It's
right,
different when you get here. And I knew that from the first moment I came, like from the second I got here, I was like, oh my God, this is where I have to be. The creative energy, the like-minded individuals, just the art community as a whole that exists here, the history, the culture, like it's
right.
unmatched.
And that's a fact. But as you learn, as you navigate through being a creator of the music that you want to put out, you also start to understand that you gotta learn the business even more, right? Like
Yeah.
you gotta know the business 3 times harder than you gotta know how to create the music, because you're not going to be able to really maximize your potential off of your music if you don't understand the business.
Yeah.
So when you decided that, listen, I gotta learn this business. I gotta understand the different multiple ways. And we'll talk about the stuff that you put on your Instagram, but like I gotta understand the multiple different ways I can monetize off of this. Like, when was that realization for you? And then like how did you feel once you started to really dive into that side of the hat you need to wear in this business?
I think that side really kicked in really around like that same time frame when I got to New York, 2021, when I was working with so many independent artists, from the New York, New Jersey area, and we were releasing music, and it came down to the business side of things. Like you said, there's so much that goes into the business side that is even more time consuming, I think, than the creative side.
Right,
And a lot of the artists I was working with, they didn't have the knowledge, or and sometimes even the resources to complete all of the tasks on the business side. Like there wasn't contracts and split sheets being signed, before songs were getting released.
right,
Songs weren't being registered correctly. So there was no, money coming in the back end. There was nobody that was pitching this music to be sold anywhere. So there's no deals or income coming in. Like I think one of the things I learned early on is like you're kind of in the beginning of your career, if you're independent, you're
mhm,
not just an artist, like you're a business owner and you're a salesman, you're a salesperson, like you have
right,
to
right, right,
sell more music, right? And I started really studying e-commerce was huge, at this time. I started studying like social media marketing, like just different ways to build a brand online and to um, market and sell music independently aside from the streaming companies, because I realized streaming wasn't paying a lot, right? And when
right,
you do
right,
the splits and stuff, it wasn't sustainable for that piece. But what was happening at this time is a lot of artists were getting brand deals and brand partnerships. And I already had experience working in corporate. So I kind of had the sales background and business experience to know how to draft an email, how to
right,
make
right,
a
right,
cold call, like how to
right, right.
follow up, like different skills that you need in business to get things done. And I worked with the artists who I was collaborating with on that stuff where we would jump on a call together, a phone call, and register the song on all the different platforms. And then we were drafting emails and sending them out to different places to try to get this thing on playlists and try to get a
Right.
placement somewhere, right? And a lot of work went into that, and it was a lot of research along the way, market research on, like you said, how does the industry work? There's so many moving
Right.
parts, right?
Right.
So since I was already doing all the research and I was already doing the work in real life for my music, I figured the best way to create a brand online in terms of content was going to be to share
The
this knowledge.
information.
Yeah, the information,
Yeah.
right? Nobody has
Right.
it. Like, and I didn't see anyone else doing that. I didn't see a
Right.
lot of pages where people were sharing this type of information. So I was like, why not me? I'm doing the research anyways, you know?
Right, right. And that's another reason why I created, Groundwork Enterprises. Actually, it was called the Grind Report before that. Now I'll use that as the name of a magazine that I published. But
Right.
for the same reason, as an artist, like, yo, I came up, like you said, you were a 90s person, right? You came up in that environment. Well, also in that environment was more of like, the game is sold and not told, right? So if you didn't know nobody or knew enough about the business, nobody was going to tell you,
Yeah.
what I mean, how to monetize, how to get to the next level. You had to go through the process and go through the heartaches, in order to understand it. Now you got people like yourself, right? And me with the brand that I'm putting out, that, listen, all you got to do is just go to the page or go to the website, right, and just read. Like, that's what we're lacking now. Like, people just want it all microwave and give it to them. Like, you got to go read up and really pay attention and do the research. It's right there for you. You just got to go get it.
Yeah.
You decided to post, like you said, post that stuff on your Instagram. I'm looking at your Instagram right now. You got things like the Spotify playlists that are free for artists to submit. Like, artists don't even, I can point people to your page all day. I'm leading horses to water, but I don't know if they coming over there to drink. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and then, submit your music to NPR's Tiny Desk playlists and place sync placements. That's a big one nowadays. Like, sync placements. Like, how important is it for you to really push that information to people? And do you feel like people are grabbing that info and using it once you put it out there?
Yeah, I think to your point, Shah, I think you can lead the horse to water, but you can't force them to drink it, right? So I think in that sense, there's probably a lot of people that will come across the information and not take the actions that they need to take to get the result. I
Right,
think you have to be motivated. I think you have to make sacrifices. I think you have to have certain skill sets like time management, communication skills, organization skills, these different things to be able to get all of the stuff done on the business end. And not everybody is going to do that. Not every artist is going to do that, but there are a lot who do. And I actually get DMs often daily. I'll get DMs from people thanking me, saying like it makes me feel so great when I'll get a DM from an artist that says like, hey, I appreciate this sync post so much because I got hooked up in 2 music libraries and so far I've secured 2 placements from it, and this
right,
has really helped me and my family out. Thank you, Shay. Like, I get a lot of messages like that.
right,
So
right, right.
the ones who are motivated and who are going to make the time and follow the instructions, it's going to make a difference, and it has made a difference.
And that's big. I put a lot of this stuff on, like I said, my website, so people can always go reference it, right? Like, it's there for you. I even looked at some of your stuff, and I'm going back and looking at mine. I'm like, is this information and what I have is accurate, and it matches? So I'm like, yeah, at
Yeah.
least I know I got my information right. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to be able to take what you have, throw it on the website and say, hey, I got this from Shay Mizz, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? And they can take it to another level if they decide to, because this stuff like this is big, like how to trademark your artist name and protect your brand. Like,
Right.
I don't trademark almost everything that I involved with, right? And that's important. Like, artists don't know, or just not just artists, just people building brands, a small business person, right? Or an entrepreneur. Like, you don't want to put all your effort and your money and your time into something that somebody else can just take from you because you didn't know through a simple Google search or through a simple search through the trademark, website on just making sure that name's not already taken. You get what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So
Exactly.
it's important, um, out of all this, you've also decided to create your own music business consulting agency,
Yeah.
right? So talk about that. Like, what does that involve, and what kinds of things do you do through that business?
So that's something that I've started recently, more towards the end of last year. And essentially, I will book a Zoom call with anyone around the world. A lot of times it's artists directly, but sometimes it'll be like a label, like an independent label or an artist manager, or somebody that um,
Right,
is trying to essentially get information. Like you said, I had a call today with it was two gentlemen who were managing an artist. He was a brand new artist, and they wanted some help on their release plan and just whatever steps that they should be taking to make sure that the single is successfully released. They get as much traction as they want. They had questions around advertising. I helped them out with different advertising campaign strategies to help
right,
create some motion. Content strategies, that's a big thing that I'm talking about with a lot of people who book consulting, because as you know, Shah, it's not easy to build a consistent following online on these platforms,
not
right?
at all.
It
The
takes
algorithms hit you hard.
yeah, and it's time consuming to create this content, to be consistent and really like make enough traction to where you're gaining consistent fans and followers. It
Right,
takes a
right,
lot of effort and energy. And I had actually hired a marketing team to pretty much teach me how these algorithms work, how these platforms work, how I should be creating content for my audience. A lot of it comes down to market research in your niche and how your audience is going to react to your content. A lot of it is testing, trial and error type of things, but
right,
also like when you get that data, knowing what to do with it, right? So that's pretty much the bulk of what my consulting is it's anything from, okay, how do I build an audience online, how do I grow my social accounts, how do I grow my monthly listeners on these DSPs, also things like how do I set up my LLC, how do I get the most out of my tax benefits and write-offs at the end of the
right,
year? 'Cause as you
right.
know, this is not a cheap industry that we're in. It
Nah,
takes a lot of money to invest
yeah,
as if you're an artist, producer, doesn't matter. So those are some of the topics. Sync licensing, that's a big topic that I talk about with
right,
artists.
right,
Different ways to pitch your music to music supervisors, to playlist curators, to blogs, to
right,
podcasters like yourself,
right,
right?
right, right,
So it's just different topics around business, around marketing, with these artists who are really good at the creative, but don't really have the skills or the knowledge that they need to be successful on the business side.
what is like, give us like one jewel or one piece of information that artists should know. Like, they've been doing it for a while. They're probably in their first official year of being an artist. Like, what do what, give them some information now that they need, that's gonna help them throughout the rest of their career.
I think the biggest piece of information that I can give, especially at the time we're in with what just happened with TikTok and the
Right,
TikTok ban, right, is to collect your audience data, own that data through an email list, build up your email list. There are email platforms. The one that I use is called Flowdesk,
okay,
FLODESK.com. It's phenomenal. It's very affordable. But these different email platforms, right, they allow you to build a list of your audience data, phone numbers, names, email addresses. And
right,
these are highly engaged listeners. These are like people that are basically your super fans because they're opting into your mailing list. They want to receive communication from you. And these platforms allow you to automate not only emails, but you can have landing pages, you can have checkout screens, you can have sales funnels, you can have, you can sell anything right from there. So you're not just relying on streams, or you're able to directly communicate with your entire audience, where you can send them a link to pre-save your song for a new release. You
Right.
can send them a link to buy merch. You can send them a link to purchase show tickets, anything that you want.
Right.
And you own all of the data. You're getting paid upfront right then. You don't have to rely on these, companies that collect royalties or third parties or anything like that. And if anything happens with these platforms, like realistically, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Meta, all of that could go away tomorrow.
Right.
We
Right.
lived through COVID. We saw the world shut down overnight. Like
Right. Right.
anything is possible. So if that was to happen, you could have a million followers on these platforms. And if they go away, now how are you going to access those people?
Right. Right.
So I think that is a big tip I would give a new artist is to focus more on building your email list. And that is going to be a more efficient way of communicating with your audience because you don't have to worry about reach. You're guaranteed you send the email, it's going to go through. So you're
Right. Right.
to get it delivered, higher open rates, higher click rates. I mean, it's going to convert better. And then there's other tips I would give them to be able to build that list. Like a big marketing hack right now that every content creator is using is they use ManyChat.
Yep.
And
I use that. You
yeah,
use it. Yeah.
ManyChat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
hook up the ManyChat to your email list. You post, a song. Hey, comment the word pre-save. People comment pre-save, and then now you have ManyChat. Send them an auto DM. They have the
Yeah.
link, and they click on the link. You can have that go to a email landing page. Hey, if you want direct access to the song in your email, fill it out here. I'll send it to you early. Give them some sort of incentive. So
Right. Right.
there's different ways to do it, but I would say use ManyChat, set up automations, and start building your mailing list.
Yeah, I mean, I use ManyChat on two of my Instagram. One, at Grynd Work, and then I have a Track Bullies. I have two radio stations, so Track
Nice.
Bullies Radio, at Track Bullies. I use it on there, and for the artists out there, it's good to use something like that because you can be on the go, right? And somebody's interested in something that you have to offer, and they expect a response, as fast as they send that DM. So if you can set up that automation to be able to, you make them do what you want to do, like comment the word boom, this, or and it'll send that DM, and then it'll follow up. Like I like that. I like the ManyChat option because people ask me all the time about the services we offer. Boom, it sends it right to them. And then you can even also set it up for frequently asked questions. Like people people might ask you the same question all the time. Well, you can set that up. I mean, you can do that through Instagram and all that, but like you said, I recommend doing it through ManyChat, because if you do it that way, the AI is going to recognize that question and send it out, right? And then
Yeah.
you tweak it as you see fit based on the questions that you get. So that's definitely a big hack. I see that come a lot. So definitely a big jewel. I was on it. I have two computers up. I was going to check out Flow Desk. I use something called eye contact for the Grindworks. When you go on the website, it'll automatically have to pop up. So if you want to, add your email, you get all the incentives that come with it, because I put stuff out before I even throw it on social media. So that's big.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I like to tell artists that listen to this, again, is on the Grind Live. If you grinding, let me help you grind. Let's just give you the information. Shah Cypha himself has speaking to myself in like third person, crazy. Um, I have my own website. So let's say, not just Grindwork Enterprises, not just Track Bullies or my other stuff that I got going on. I have ShahCypha.com. So people can go check out what I got going on individually. I can sell merch from there. I can put my music on there. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can do all kinds of stuff and still point you to my social networks. So that's another way, that you can have, when you're sending out those emails, you can send people back to your website, and you can collect your data, how many people are touching, right?
Yeah.
And then you get your Google Analytics up, and every time they Google you, they'll see your website. It's so many things that you can do full circle,
Yeah.
that I think is important. What's next for you though? I mean, you got the consultant, you're a producer, you've touched, you got placements, you still making music, but what else is out there that Shay wants to take advantage of?
So my main focus right now, I'm actually in the process of finishing up and releasing my first ever single that's, written, produced, um, by me, mixed, mastered, everything. I did get performers on it. So this is a song that um, I've been working on for a while where I wrote it. I had two really dope artists that I was able to connect with, perform on the record. I have
Okay.
one artist, she's a rapper, she's amazing. She's on the verses, and then I have more of a R&B soul singer on the hook. It's a kind of like that gives again that 90s feel that where I'm, how I came up is like
Right.
it was a genre blending time of rap and R&B at that, time
Right. Right.
and that's what I wanted to do on this record. And we're in the final stages of mixing and mastering and starting to get the promo ready and the marketing plan ready for it. So I would say new music, but this is my first time ever releasing songs that I wrote.
Right.
So previously I've been working with artists where it was really my beat and their lyrics, their
Lyrics.
performance,
Right.
right? So this
Right.
is the
Right.
first song I'm releasing written by me. And then the other big focus of mine for 2025 is I just recently launched a coaching program called Creator Academy. And
Okay.
it's a 6-month program. It's limited right now in terms of spots just because we're working with one-on-one with artists who are looking to build their brands, build their business. They want to stay independent, but they want to make a living from music, right? So we're taking
Right.
artists from wherever they're at now to earning 6 figures plus per year, all from music. And we're working with them on everything from setting up their LLCs to music registration,
Yeah.
distribution, marketing, promotion, building the brand online, brand collaborations, influencer collaborations,
Right.
performances, really like sales funnels, a lot of stuff. So I have a couple artists that are in the middle of the program now. And we've seen a lot of success. So I'm looking to grow that more
Right.
throughout
Right.
2025.
Yeah, we and you gotta talk. You know what I'm saying? Me and you gotta listen, man. Like I'm genuine in what I do with Groundwork Enterprises, and I really want to be able to point people to the right information, the right people, the right resources. And if there's any way that I can help, do that, I'm still a business at the end of the day, but I want to be able to point people to resources and contacts and network that's really going to help change their lives. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I do.
we definitely going to be connecting and talking about what you got going on more, and hopefully we do some things where I can send people your way and vice versa. You get what I'm saying? But outside of that, like, let me ask you this: like, independent artists that's really just looking for somebody for some beats, like, how do they get a hold of you to listen to kind of beats that you got going on, and had the opportunity to purchase what you have available as a catalog?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the main way they can purchase from me is to go to my website, www.shaymizbeats.com. And I have a bunch of beats up there that is available for lease for independent artists on a budget. So
Right,
if you're looking to just license an instrumental, you can put it out, you can release it, you can monetize it. There's cheaper options. And then you can also order custom production. So if you order custom production, what will happen is I'll get an email basically that tells me, hey, you're looking to set up custom production services, and I'll reach out with like my calendar invite, similar to how you did, where
right,
if
right,
you're on a Zoom call with me, we'll go over your project, whether it's a single album, kind of like the vision that the artist has, and we'll collaborate from there on like a custom instrumental, or sometimes it's a EP, sometimes it's a full album. So depending on what the artist is looking for, right? And then
right,
I'm working with that person. If they're in New York, they're local to New York, New Jersey, I'll meet with them in the studio in person. But if it's I work with artists all over the world now. So if it's
right,
a virtual situation, we just hop on Zoom, we do something like this where we have a conversation, we collaborate on a vision, and then I'll go in the studio, I'll cook up an idea, I'll email it or text it over to them. They tell me, hey, yeah, I love this, but can you change this? Or, we might do some on the fly edits, but overall they'll record. send me the final track, and then we put together, anybody I work with, we put together a marketing and promotion plan together, and I help them, with everything we talked about earlier.
Yeah, yeah, and that's dope because there's not you just not creating the music for them. Creating a plan for success, right? Like you got to be,
Yeah.
you operate like a Fortune 500 company, right? Like that's the way you want to operate when you're an artist. And just like you, like I tell artists how to create the LLCs, right, through the groundwork. So I like that. Anything else that you want to talk about? Anything else that you got going on, and that we want to tell the people before we get out of here?
I mean, man, I would love to send you referrals for the artists that I'm working with. I'm
Yeah,
working with a lot of dope up and coming artists that have amazing music that just need to be heard. They are looking for platforms like yours that are putting people on and
right.
help spreading awareness. And I'd love to link up with you again, exchange, info, and send some people your way too, because
Yeah,
I
sure.
believe in the people that I work with. I believe in the artists that I work with and the music, and just getting them heard in places like you, somebody who's passionate about this, somebody
Right,
who also does it like you rap, so you understand what goes into it.
right.
I think that would be amazing, and
Yeah,
I
let's
look
do
forward
it.
to talking more.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, shout out to everybody out there grinding, regardless of what that grind is. The fact is that you putting in the work to get to the success or the level of success that you're looking to achieve. So that's what we trying to do on here, right? On the Grind Live, as we want to talk about that. And shout out to you, Shay, for taking the music that you love and bringing it back to Brooklyn. You know what I mean? That's
I love
bringing it.
Brooklyn. Brooklyn's
You
my
know,
favorite place in the world, by the way. I tell people that
so
all the time.
bringing it back to my city, shout out to all my Flatbush and Bed-Stuy people,
Hey,
Brownsville, all that good stuff, you know what I'm saying, Bushwick. I can go on and on about different Brooklyn areas, East New York. I ain't gonna keep going. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody
yeah.
there. Yeah, so her social media is SHAY.MIZZ. That is on Instagram. Go check her out. She's got a lot of information on there. ShayMizzBeats.com. If you don't do anything, if you don't even listen to the beats, just read the posts. You know what I'm saying? Like get your information and act like you really need it. You know what I'm saying? So then slide over to Grindwork Enterprises or just put Grindwork with a Y, grind with a Y, and you can get some additional information from there as well. Shay, I appreciate you taking the time out and giving us some information. We can't wait to do this again. And yeah, we're gonna get out of here and keep it moving. Everybody else, we'll see you on the grind. You already know what it is.
Appreciate you, Shah. Thanks for having me.
Yep, definitely, no problem.